She had him unzipped and halfway out when the first rock hit the windshield. She called him Fireman Mike, and he texted her that morning, 8 a.m., wanted a hookup at 9, that quick. She considered saying no, but he'd been a frequent flyer lately and reasonably good to her. Besides, there was the money. The second rock hit while he was stuffing the bad boy back in his pants. His face had gone, what was the word Betty used? Apoplectic. This rock left a nasty hole, spiderweb fissures in the windshield. Big thing, size of a doll's head. Just sitting there on the hood now, dusted white with bits of glass. Glancing up, she spotted the source of the trouble. 5 of them, hoodies and half-mast pants, hats kicked sideways, flipping off Fireman Mike, stacking hand signs, hoots, and fuck yous. The sky loomed behind them like a half-painted wall, tinderbox gray with brushstrokes of fiery white. Another rock, whistling miss. He cinched his belt. Look what they did to my goddamn windshield. So like him. My windshield. Guys with size. Everything was theirs. I'll bet you know these fucks, he said. Actually, she did. 2 anyway. Mo Pete Carson. Fat and scary, squint-eyed and dumb. Acne so bad your own face hurt when you looked at him. Draped in Raider gear, down to the white sideline cap favored these days by the BCK, Brickyard Cutthroat Thrillers. DeMarlo Melendez. What set was he with? Marina Block Gunners? Maybe. Could be. Could be from nowhere. Not really the banger type. D-Lo, they called him. Skulky and sad, like a kicked dog. But catch his act now. Off the leash. Howling. The other 3? Cholos, 2 of them. All scraggly stash and banger tat and busting a sag on their dickies. Benny Salgado, Browntown Locos wannabe. The other, the sleek one, was Chepe Lopez, a soldier for the NVS, North Vista Savages. The 5th guy was tall, coffee-colored, that's all she could see, his face buried in shadow from the hood of his sweatshirt. Misfit bunch. No gang ties binding them. If anything, they should have been at each other's necks. Strange, really, their being together like this. No logic to it at all. Nothing but the opportunity. Fireman in his shiny red car, getting a wake-up knob job beneath the elm trees on a drizzly school day. She told him, not so close to the corner. Christ, not so close to the school. But listen, Fireman Mike, mighty whitey, he runs this town. Just ask him. Their last time together, Tuesday night, city council meeting. He paid her to come, and without a stitch beneath her car coat, sit in the audience, getting juiced as he got ready to launch his parting shot at the mayor, the council, the crowd, Citizen Pinhead, Angry Joe Blow. But it wasn't just locals in the audience. There were some guys from back east representing the National Union, firefighters, or at least they wore blues. Even packed tight into their uniforms, though, they didn't look much like firemen. They looked like muscle. Meanwhile, there she sat, wagging her shoe off the end of her foot and jaybird naked beneath her coat, next to some old moon-faced black dude named Jeremiah in his Argyle sweater and white loafers, wanted a speed bump on his street, showed her pictures of his toothy grandkids. Shoot me now, she thought. She hadn't realized old Mike was so high up in the union till that night, or that he was the guy everybody was blaming now for the city going bankrupt. Bit of a lynch mob feeling to the room. He kind of explained what she'd seen in him lately, what she'd heard in his voice, a subtle kind of deflation, even defeat. He wasn't just pissed. He was bitter. He'd been hitting the Johnny Walker pretty hard the past few times they'd been together, hitting her ass pretty hard too, and the pace had picked up, 5 tricks in the last 2 weeks. When he got his shot at the lectern, the gist of the thing was this: you want somebody to blame? Look in the mirror. And when he wrapped it up, some in the crowd applauded, others catcalled or booed, and he thundered out like the banished king. Passing her seat, he nodded to her. She waited 5 and tripped on after, heading out to his car. She stopped with a jolt when she saw him in the lobby with 2 of the asshats from the National Union. New Jersey no-necks. They'd stood in the corner, Mike boxed in, all 3 half shouting, half whispering. One guy jabbing a finger into Mike's chest, the other guy hanging back, arms crossed, glaring. She knew better than to listen in, so she slipped out the door, headed over to the fountain on the plaza, sat down to wait. Finally, the door blew open. Fireman Mike plowed out and rushed down the concrete steps, not a glance her way, just a subtle wave of his hand. Come on. That night, he finally put up money for a real room. Time to celebrate, he said, cracking open a pipe, except it really didn't really feel much like celebration. It felt like a binge. I'm so out of here, he said, throwing back his first glass, pouring his next, not bothering with ice. I got myself a whole new situation, captain's post in Visalia, start next month. He was muttering, not to her so much as to some invisible anybody. Then he snapped back, a glance her direction, a grin that wasn't happy. More to the point, he looked scared. Maybe you can come down there sometime, Jacqueline. Got my own condo, sauna, steam room, pool. Keep me company. Think you'd like that? She sat down on the edge of the bed. And your family? His eyes went flat. Family's not coming. Family's staying put. I'll come back up on my off days. He poured her some scotch, and she pretended to drink, a hunch it might be better not to get loaded. Come on, Miss It, time to party. Spit out the old, swallow the new. The rest went fast. He threw her down on the bed so hard she bounced, ripped off the car coat, stared for a second to admire what he saw, flattering really, traced his finger around a nipple like he'd never really seen it before, looked into her eyes that way too, for a second anyway. Then he did her like a savage monkey, hard and deep and selfish, with a little help from some lube and the notorious pill. After he was done, he hit the head, soaked and sponged. Even with a rubber, he was paranoid. Then ambled back to the bed and did the strangest thing. Rummaging through a pocket, he took out a little felt box, handed it to her, almost shy, told her to open it. White satin inside, gold chain with a hummingbird charm. She knew what gifts meant. You ended up paying for them one way or the other. Still, she smiled. It was pretty. She held up her hair, and he clasped it for her, and she indulged a momentary daydream of being rescued by him somehow. But from what? Hadn't taken it off since. She reached up now, touched the tiny gold bird, felt its jagged coolness against her skin. He threw open the car door, ass on fire, bowled toward the circle of rock tossers. Big dude, had to grant him that. Shoulders and arms like a power lifter, grip like a slammed door. But Christ, that's what firemen did all day. Free weights and machines, strength and cardio. Got paid to the nose for the privilege, too. Gotta get a piece of that, she thought. Sign up for the course at a community college. Be an EMT maybe. Get Fireman Mike to put in a word. Or she could get her grades tweaked. Yeah, sure. Right after I cure cancer.